right. Welcome, everybody, to Bases and Brews episode 7 with Ben and Brandon. This is our weekly podcast where we talk about baseball and beer. We stream the show live every Friday on twitch.tv/Bases and Brews, no spaces, at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern. Come give us a follow and watch us live over there. Or if you can't catch us live every week, you can watch us on YouTube later or listen on podcast services such as Spotify, Google Podcast, and hopefully soon Apple. Just search for the channel Bases and Brews Podcast. Also follow us on Twitter at Bases Brews to get some baseball news and some updates about the podcast. And yeah, how's it going this week, man?
It's definitely going. We finally caught back up at work, so this week has actually been killer.
Nice. That's always good.
Yeah, things slowed me down. So I've had a fairly decent week.
That's good. It's always good when you get caught up and can kind of relax a little.
Yeah, telling me.
Or not relax, but at least, work at a normal speed.
Oh, no, it's much more relaxed.
Yeah. What are you drinking this week, man?
So this week I decided to forego the brews part and go with my personal favorite scotch. It's a Macallan. It's a 12-year double cask. I just went and bought it. Oh, let's see if I can get it to focus. There it goes. This and they have a cherry cask one that's a 12-year as well. Those are my two favorite scotches that I've had.
I really like Macallan. That's one of my favorites. I like Glenlivet too when it comes to scotches.
I haven't gotten to try Glenlivet just because every time I go to the store, I forget that I want to try it and I just go and buy Macallan.
It's tough too because like those higher end scotch or like medium to high end scotches like Macallan and Glenlivet, like you can't really buy like a small bottle to taste it. Like you have to buy a bottle like that.
And yeah, like this bottle isn't an expensive bottle, but it is by no means a cheap bottle. I think this was like a $70 bottle.
That sounds right. Especially in California.
Yeah. So I only buy them like I would say like once every 3-4 months. Usually go through a couple bottles a year, but
yeah.
So I like to mix it in every once in a while. Scotch is like my favorite thing to drink.
Yeah, I can get behind that. I'm a big fan of drinking some scotch or some whiskey or something. But actually, no, I take it back. I like bourbon more than whiskey, but I like scotch above all.
I would agree with you on that one. Well,
it depends on the bourbon and the whiskey. Some whiskeys are really good. Some bourbons are really good.
I would say overall, I like whiskeys more than bourbons, but I do know there are a couple bourbons that I really like that I would drink over most whiskeys.
Okay.
What you got on tap tonight?
So I'm drinking another IPA, of course. This week I'm rocking, it's from St. Arnold Brewery, which I looked up. It's in Houston. It's called the Art Car IPA.
Oh, nice.
This can's pretty freaking awesome. My camera doesn't autofocus, but yeah.
I like the can. The can looks dope.
Yeah, it's a really cool can, but it's really good. I actually had a bunch of them. I actually, thanks to Wicked, who's in the chat right now, I downloaded an app called Untapped, which is basically like our beer rating app. But
that's kind of cool.
So I went to my store I go to buy beer, and that was like one of the top rated that they had there. So
nice.
But yeah, so it's pretty good, and I got 3 cans of it in this one.
Bro, that cup makes me laugh every time you pull it out.
It's literally huge. Like the size of my head.
Like when you talk like beer steins, like that's as close as you're gonna get to a beer stein without it being like a huge beer stein.
Like out here or like back here, like it doesn't look that massive. But Yeah, when you go to drink, it's like, oh yeah, it's the size of my entire face.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so yeah, let's get into some baseball.
Let's get into this hot and cold because I really want to get into these movies.
Okay, so I'm starting off with my first top player, of course, going Indians with Shane Bieber because the dude's a fucking machine.
He's unreal.
In Major League Baseball history to have 10 or more strikeouts in the first 4 starts of the season.
That's unreal.
48 through 4 starts.
Unreal.
It's insane. I actually want to look up really quick. Strikeouts. Wait, what? I did pitching.
How many walks does he have?
I will tell you in 1 second here. So the next, okay, there's a few guys in the mid 40s. It's actually not as like crazy as you would think, but
because the next guy on our fires list definitely wouldn't mind having a chat.
Okay, walks. Shane Bieber has 10 walks.
Okay.
So that's actually pretty high for him through 4 games, but
that means he's what, 20? That's a 20% walk rate.
Walks to strikeouts.
Yeah.
Yeah, 22% or so.
Yeah, something like that.
But yeah, I mean,
that's crazy.
The guy's a monster, and I love it.
Has he been getting wins though?
Yeah, I think he's I lost it. He's 2-1.
Okay, that's not bad.
2.45 ERA.
Anything these days with the way hitting is, anything sub 3 is good.
Yeah.
Anything close to 2 is unreal.
Yeah. But yeah, so he's pretty good.
I would
would say he's the favorite to win Cy Young early in the year in the AL.
It wouldn't surprise me. He's on fire. But he had an insane year last year in the short season though, too, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean he won the Cy Young last year. I can pull up his stats really fast, but yeah, so last season he had in 12 starts, he had a 1.63 ERA. And in 12 starts, he struck out 122 batters.
Oh, damn.
So more than 10 a game.
It's insane. You don't see it. I don't know. I want to say you don't see a ton of guys like that anymore, but it seems like there are a few out there this year.
Yeah, there's a lot of good pitching to start the year. And I don't know how much of that is the balls being unjuiced or the hitters just going further and further toward home run or nothing. Like, I just don't know what
so as a Giants fan, that's what I would lean towards, because the Giants are like the worst, or they were a little bit ago. I don't know if they still are, because I haven't looked at the actual like formal stats for it, but they were like 29th or something in runs scored, but they're 12-6.
Yeah.
So, and it's all home runs, 2-run home runs, solo shots. That's the only way we're winning games, is hitting home runs.
I was watching the Indians game yesterday or 2 days ago. I don't remember. But the Indians were, at that time at least, leading all of baseball in home runs. But they're like just over 500, and they're like, I think it was like 75-ish% of their runs were on home runs. Like it's all or nothing.
That's what it feels like for us too. It feels. Go ahead.
Like the other stat they said was like batting average with runners in scoring position, and the Indians were batting like 105 or something. Like nobody's trying to like hit the guy in. Everybody's just swinging for the fences.
Yeah.
frustrating.
I 100% feel that because that's how the Giants, that's what it feels like. I mean, I know that there's some in between from what it feels like and what it actually is. But that's kind of how I feel that what's going on with the Giants too is they're not scoring a ton of runs, but when they do, it's home runs. Just that's it.
Yeah, it's really frustrating, but it is what it is. That's the game now.
Like, love it or hate it, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of people who swing and get swings and misses, the next guy who I had never heard of, I don't know if in the National League you had heard of him. I don't.
Name sounds familiar, but not as someone who's like this fire. You know what I mean?
Right. So yeah, name's Corbin Burns. He's been in the majors for 4 years. Looks like on and off. It looks like he's been like a bullpen guy on and off between bullpen and starter. But so yeah, Corbin Burns in Milwaukee set the record for the most strikeouts to start a season with 0 walks. He has 40 strikeouts and no walks. And he's leading baseball with a .37 ERA, which like goes to show you if you don't walk guys, you're going to be in pretty good shape. Like, don't give free base runners.
Could you imagine, like, when he goes out there, Milwaukee's got to think, okay, today's win day.
Yeah.
Because all they have to do statistically at this point, granted, it's only like, what, 2 weeks into the season now? 3 weeks maybe? I don't know. We're still like
about 2.5. Yeah.
And all they have to do is score 1 run, and chances are they're going to win.
Yeah. He's given up a total of 8 runs in 4 starts. Those must not have, he's only given up 1 earned run. But
so
he's given up 7 unearned runs, so their defense is
terrible. So maybe he's kind of getting saved for his ERA from bad plays. But then again, I don't know. Maybe if they make those plays, then those runs don't. I always struggle with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough to say, I guess. Because, like, I don't know. Maybe if he gets the run support, he wins. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, I'll let you talk about this next one.
Okay. This was from a few days ago, so I don't know. I don't think they've lost since then.
They haven't.
So.
They're playing the Padres.
The LA Dodgers are on fire.
Like literally on fire.
An MLB record 126 wins, which would make them 126-36.
That would be insane. That's not going to happen.
No, I don't think so either. But like, and they're doing it without Mookie Betts has been in and out of the lineup, and what's his name? Oh crap! Who's their other guy who got the fractured leg last week?
Oh, I can't remember off the top of my head.
I can look it up on last week's list.
I'm trying to avoid everything Dodgers right now because it's brutal. Although they are. Oh yeah, Bellinger. All I got to say is they're playing the Padres right now, which is good for the Giants. The Giants are second in their division right now.
Yeah, because the Padres are getting blown up by the Dodgers. And they were without Tatis.
Don't ruin my fun. We're second in the division.
No,
the Dodgers better be quaking in their shoes. We're coming.
I would be happy to finish second in that division. Let's just say that.
To be honest, if the Giants actually can somehow keep this going, because the Padres are like 4 games back right now, and they're playing the Dodgers, and they're most likely going to lose. At least there's a good chance that the Dodgers sweep that series, which could put them like 5 or 6 games back. And that's a big hole to put yourself in, even with a team that's as talented as they are. If the Giants can somehow manage to keep playing.
They're 5 back of the Giants or 5 back from the Dodgers?
I'm pretty sure they're 5 back from the Giants. I'm going to look that up though, just to make sure.
Yeah, either way, I mean, the Dodgers are freaking just killing everybody right now.
Oh no, they're okay. So they're 2 back from the Giants. They're 4 back from the Dodgers.
Okay.
So, but if they lose these and the Giants win these next couple, which they're playing the Marlins, hopefully they'll win again tomorrow. That could put them, 3 or 4 games back of the Giants by the time their series is over?
Yeah.
Which I don't know. It's a big hole to dig out of to try and catch the Dodgers, especially because of how hot the Dodgers started.
I don't think anyone's catching the Dodgers at this point in the season. If they keep playing like they are, nobody's touching the Dodgers.
I refuse to believe that.
In the playoffs, like anything can happen.
Well, yeah.
In the regular season, I think that division's already over.
Which would mean your prediction was wrong.
You're right.
Come on, you gotta have more faith in your Padres.
Right. I think I'm not saying they're gonna win by 30 games or anything, but I still stand by. I think 2 teams could win that division. Or I'm sorry, 2 teams could win 100 games in that division.
I think that we both thought that was a possibility at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. But yeah. So speaking of California teams that are on fire,
the A's, and they're winning right now. I'm just pulling it up. They're still winning 3-1.
Yeah. I think they did have a day off yesterday.
I'm pretty sure they did.
But, so they're at 11 straight wins, and like you said, they're winning today.
Well, after the first week, it was the sky is falling. They were 0-6 or 0-7.
They got wrecked to start the year, and I remember people talking about it being they're gonna fall apart. Like this team's gonna break apart and start selling off players, and
they are tied for first in their division right now.
Crazy.
So they're hot. I'm glad. I like to see the Bay Area teams do well.
I mean, I would really like the Angels to win that division just because I think it'd be good for baseball. But
I don't disagree.
But nobody expects the Angels to win.
Angels, the franchise, one of the franchise with the biggest waste of talent.
Yeah.
If not the franchise with the biggest waste of talent.
And because it's all there for the next decade.
Well, and it's different from a team like the Indians or the A's, because when a team like that sucks, they just don't have people.
Yeah.
The Angels have had big name guys, and they just can't put it together. I mean,
they have, without question, the best player in baseball for the last however long he's been in the majors, 6 years.
Yeah, right.
He's, without any question, he's the best player in baseball. So
right now there might be some debates on that.
Well, okay.
With some of the young guns that are coming up, but over the last few years, 100% you're accurate with that.
Yeah. And even now, I mean, Trout's still a fucking monster.
I still think he's arguably one of the best in the league. He's not as flashy as Acuna Jr. or someone like that.
Right, of course.
But I still think if you look at his numbers by the end of this year, he'll still be top 3.
He doesn't have the swagger of a top tier player, like guys like Acuna and Tatis and I can't think of any more off the top of my head. Even guys like
Bellinger, who I don't think Bellinger is necessarily a swaggerific guy, but even he has more swag than Mike Trout.
Javi Baez is like that.
Yeah, I would agree with that one.
They got that swagger about it. Even if they're not in that tier with him. There's guys in baseball who have that. And Mike Trout's just vanilla. He's just
I love Mike Trout.
He comes to work and I do too. I'm not saying I don't like him, but he comes to work and he does his job and he goes home. He's no flash.
Yeah. He's just I'm gonna come out here and be one of the best players in the league. Not gonna make a big deal out of it. I'm gonna take my money and go home.
And
you don't bug me, I don't bug you.
He has a lot of money.
Now on to our dreaded cold. This brings me joy.
Yeah, me too.
this brings me joy, and it's just because I'm being solely a hater. But this
go ahead, man.
This 100% brings me joy. The Yankees are the worst record in the AL for the first time since 1998. I was 10.
Also, because they're playing the Indians this week. I heard the other stat that this is the worst start they've ever had, or that they've had since 1991.
Oof.
Yeah, which is 30 years ago, if you want to feel old.
Well, this just brings me joy because there are two teams as a baseball fan that I grew up hating. The Dodgers, because of obvious reasons, and the Yankees, because all they did was buy championships. Now, I was a little too young to understand that any franchise that is very successful, in a way, buys their championship. Not always, but more often than not. Whether it's adding big name people mid-season or whatever, every team does it. The Yankees seem to do it with more frequency in taking these huge names.
I'll say this. Over the last 10 years, 5 years, the Yankees have not done that as much.
Fair, which is why I haven't hated them as much, but
I still hate them.
I grew up hating them. I will always hate them. I don't like the Yankees.
I think part of the reason that I still hate them is because in the 90s, when the Indians had like the team, they had like 10 Hall of Famers on their roster. It was the Yankees and the Indians every year in the playoffs. So like there was that bitter rivalry where we just hated each other.
So you hate the Yankees for the same reason that I hate the Dodgers.
I mean, yeah, but like the Yankees, I wouldn't say is like a rival of the Indians because they're not in the same division. So like
no, but at a time there was, right. And especially if that's when you grew up and that's what you're watching.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. But yeah, I have never liked the Yankees, and I will never like the Yankees.
I don't think I ever will either. I will never root for them.
Their new stadium, not that great. I've been there. It's literally a recreation of their old stadium with another row of seats in the upper deck.
Oh, come on. They had to have added like more tech and stuff to it. Well, make it a little more like a little bit more pleasant to go to.
Right. Of course. Yeah. It's a cool stadium for that, but like it's not exciting.
That's fair.
It just looks old.
One of these episodes we'll have to get into like our top three.
I think it's on our list.
Yeah, top three stadiums we want to go to that we haven't been. Because I got a few.
Same. But yeah, it's great. I'm happy the Yankees are bad and
I think
they're beating the shit out of my Indians right now, but
you just gotta hope that they somehow hit.
The Indians? Seems unlikely.
Bro, that's what I thought about the Giants. I thought the Giants were going to be a terrible defensive team, and they're like top 2 defensive efficiency right now.
The Indians are... Our number one hitter has like a 260 batting average.
Well, our number one hitter was hitting like 320 or 330, and he's now on the IL. Oof. Donovan Solano is our everyday second base. Well, not every day. So before we get into our big topic, this is something that I want to rant about.
News too,
do we have some news? Well, let's do the news and then let's get through these guys first, and then I'll go on my
write
thing.
It down so you don't forget.
Oh, I won't forget. I've literally been thinking about this for like 2 or 3 days.
Not a lot of news this week. We get just a few quick injuries. Starling Marte in Miami is a big loss. He fractured a rib somehow. I didn't really see how he did it, but like, yeah, that's a big loss. He's real good.
Yeah, that's not good.
And they don't have a ton of great position players. So, Steven Strasburg, no fucking surprise, he's on the IL.
That's another guy that had, I think, unlimited potential as a pitcher.
Yeah.
That just kind of kept getting hurt and never quite had it right mentally. I mean, not saying he's not a great pitcher even when he's not 100% right. But just what he could be if he was is...
I still remember when he first came up, like he had Tommy John surgery before he made the majors. And he was like the number one prospect in all of baseball. And he came up and he pitched great, but he had like an innings limit for the season.
Oh,
and
yeah, I remember that.
At the very end of the year, it was like a game that would have pushed him in the playoffs, and they wouldn't start him because he
had already hit his limit. I remember that. There were people bitching about that.
Yeah.
I get it though. But
I would get it, except in hindsight, he's been hurt every single season. So, like, why I should have pitched him because it didn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of a sadistic way of thinking about it, though. Like, well, he's gonna be fucked up anyway, so let's just throw him out there. If he fucks himself up, who cares?
One more start. What would have been like 6 more innings? Steven Strasburg could be the best pitcher in baseball, but he just never can stay healthy. So, Washington also lost Juan Soto, which is a big loss as well. Also with a shoulder issue. So that sucks for them. They're going to be hurting really bad for players.
Yeah. I feel that. There are a lot of people have been getting hurt early. I think there's already been talks about what's going on.
Yeah. Juan Soto's really good, so they're already struggling in Washington, and I heard a lot of talks. I saw a lot of like articles this week about like whether Max Scherzer could be on the trade block now. I think he's got like 1 or 2 years left on his contract. So,
as a Giants fan, I would fully support going after Max Scherzer.
I mean, I don't think there's a team in baseball that wouldn't want Max Scherzer on their team.
Okay, so not that I dislike what's going on with the Giants pitching wise right now. The Giants have like one of the best rotations, like team wise in all of baseball. I think they're like top 5, top 3, something like that. But we have literally like no names.
Yeah.
Like there is no like number 1 guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Although our number 1 that we got last year that's come back this year has pitched fucking amazing so far. So, I mean, I don't really want to kick him out, but
yeah. I mean, I would say Cueto could be a number 1, but he's hurt right now.
Cueto's too old. I've literally seen him pitch for the last like 2 or 3 years. He's not a number 1 anymore.
Okay. I mean, fair.
He's a solid number 3, possibly number 2 if he's right.
I'm saying he has the potential when he's at his best.
I still don't think he's a number 1 anymore with where he's at right now. I mean, I think if he is right, he's 100% a number 2.
Yeah.
At this point, 100%. Like I wouldn't even question that. If he's 100% right, I would love him as my number 2. If he's kind of right, I wouldn't mind him at a 3. But I don't think even if he's like 100% perfect, I don't know if he's that number 1 guy anymore. Maybe I'm wrong because people are playing a little bit late. I don't know. I don't see it.
Fair. I don't necessarily disagree. I haven't watched him in a while either, so like when I think of him, I think of like Cincinnati Reds, Johnny Cueto.
Oh, he's still got that shimmy when he.
Oh no, I get that.
When he went 8 2/3 and he was just destroying people earlier this season. Yeah, he's giving that shimmy out. He looked a lot like he did when he was in Cincinnati. But like I said, he gets hurt. I don't know if he can necessarily do that anymore.
Fair. Last injury that I saw this week was Gene Segura, who I didn't realize was in Philly.
I didn't he was either.
In Seattle, but anyway, he's been in Philly for 2 years. So,
how do I not know that?
I just looked it up. He's been in Philly since 2019.
The Giants play the Phillies, I feel like a couple times a year.
I mean, yeah.
How do I not know that?
I don't know.
Shows you how much.
He's a really good player.
Shows you how much I pay attention to the opposing team.
Fair. He was batting .333 this year with home run, like 7 RBIs or something. But,
that's not terrible. It's good average.
I mean, for a middle infielder, that's a solid.
Yeah, it's.
If you don't have one of the guys named Francisco Lindor or Fernando Tatis or one of those guys, like not hitting 30 home runs a year out of the middle infield spots.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
you want your middle infielders to hit for average, ideally.
Little speed, average hitters, but yeah, he's a really good middle infielder, so that's a big loss for them. And Philly, I'm pretty sure has been playing pretty well this year.
Let me check let me see where they're at. I think if I'm not mistaken, you're right. Yes, they're second in. Wait. Okay, that's the way that MLB is posting these standing. Or no, this is just the way their Google is posting them is fucking wrong. They should be first in their division.
They are.
They're 7-7. The Mets are 7, or they're 9-9. The Mets are 7-7. Yeah. They have the same win percentage, but they've got more games played, so they should be in first.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's going to be a big hit.
Actually, that whole division's playing pretty good. Or I guess maybe I shouldn't say pretty good. They're all in. Together.
I was going to say they're actually all kind of bad. Right. But you're right. They're all one game apart. Yeah.
That's more what I meant than playing well.
Because their best teams are 500. That's when you compare it to the NL West, and their top teams are 700% and 600%.
Yeah.
And let's see what the American League. What's tops?
12-8, 12-7. If you're in Oakland and Seattle.
Dang.
Yeah, we right now our picks are not looking great, but I don't expect them to stay like they are right now.
Yeah, I expect a lot of teams to come back down to earth, and I expect a lot of teams to get better. Like the Padres aren't going to be third in that division. They're going to hold second, in my opinion. Like I said, I picked the Dodgers, so I think the Dodgers are going to stay where they're at. I think once the Padres don't have to face the Dodgers, I think they'll be fine.
Right. Yeah, when you get swept by the Dodgers, it's like, okay, moving on.
Yeah, okay, I took my ass beating. Like, let's get to teams that we can play.
Yeah, but the only other news thing that I had this week was Matt Harvey, who, if you remember, played for the Mets way back.
I love Matt Harvey.
He was so fucking good.
Well, not just because he was good. There was just something about him I liked. You know, there are players that you come across that you're like, I just kind of like that dude. He was one of those guys for me.
Fair. But yeah, so he got his first win in almost 2 full years, like calendar years.
That's crazy.
When I didn't know this, he's pitched for 4 teams since then in that time frame.
Yeah, he has
like a game or two.
Yeah, he has bounced around quite a bit. I do know that much. I couldn't tell you all the teams he's been on, but I do know that he has been bounced around a bit.
Yeah. But yeah, so first win in 2 years. Good for him. That's tough. It's tough to imagine sticking with it, going 2 years without a win.
Yeah, that would be
as a starting pitcher.
When bouncing around to 4 teams in 2 years.
Yeah.
Like at some point you got to be like, fuck, dude, somebody's either got to want me. Maybe it's time to retire. Although I don't think Matt Harvey's that old. I mean, he's been in the league for a little while, but I don't think he's really that old.
He is 32.
Still not super old. I could see someone hanging it up at 32.
Also, this is news I did not see, is Mike Trout got hit in the elbow with a pitch and he's out right now. Further evaluation needed. Okay, well, watching the replay, 100%, I'm gonna, you can't see it. Maybe if you look at it on your phone, if you have your phone on you.
I might check it out in a second.
All right. This is 100% Mike Trout's fault because you cannot lean into the pitch more than Mike Trout did on this play.
Dude, that is a trend this year.
Legitimately? Okay. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this, but he's at bat and he goes like that. Like his whole arm goes like a good 8 inches over. The ball's down the middle of the plate.
Here, I'm gonna look it up.
I sent you a link on Discord, but
It's okay. I can pull it up.
okay. Yeah. So yeah.
That's crazy. I did have one more thing I wanted to add, just real quick.
Okay.
Hold on, I'm gonna watch this. See how bad it is. Oh yeah, 100%. Fuck.
The ball's over the center of the plate.
Like he literally just kind of does that at it. Like, nah.
So bad.
You get what you deserve at that point.
Yeah. And then now he's hurt. So.
Yeah, you get what you deserve at that point. Like I love Mike Trout, but bad move.
Also, Ohtani did come back this week too as a anti-injury.
Nice. So
back pitch. Anyway,
there's something I want to bring up that I thought was pretty cool that I just kind of that popped up on my timeline. On Tuesday night, I'm pretty sure this last Tuesday, Bo Bichette hit a ball completely out of Fenway Park. He plays for the Blue Jays. The ball landed in front of an old gym where Bo's dad, Dante, met Bo's mom in 1991.
I did see this story. I didn't really look at it at all.
I didn't. I haven't looked into it, but I just saw that headline and I'm like, man, that is so sick.
Yeah, that's a really cool story.
I thought I was like that. Baseball gives you the feels sometimes, and that's like one of those things that you're like, oh, that's kind of sweet. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Also, just as a side note, because I was looking at it, we said maybe Mike Trout isn't the best player anymore.
I don't even want to hear his stats. I know it's gonna be number one. I don't need to hear.
393 batting average, 804 slugging on base, and 6 homers and 12 RBIs in 17 games.
Does that mean he's leading the league in home runs? That's got to be.
A couple guys with 7.
Oh, okay. I was going to say 6. He's got to be leading the league then.
Ronald Acuna and JD Martinez both have 7.
JD Martinez, the guy that never goes away.
I feel like he is super old.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he's probably not, though. Everybody I think is super old is like actually pretty young.
He's 33.
Okay, so he's like towards the end, but not quite there yet. And apparently not there yet at all if he's tied for the lead league in home runs.
Adding 361, 7 homers, 21 RBIs in 17 games.
Jesus.
That's insane. Like 180 RBIs roughly.
That's insane. Anyway. That's not insane. I remember when guys would get 150, 160, 170 RBIs a year, and that was like, that's what your power guys did.
True.
I mean, that doesn't necessarily happen a ton anymore, but like that was what used to be expected of your 3-4 hitters.
That's also when guys were hitting 50, 60 home runs a year too, though.
It's 2 weeks into the season. There's guys with 7 home runs already.
I mean, fair. But if guys hit like 55 now, like that's a great season for home runs. Granted, their batting average is probably like 215, but
yeah, right.
All right. What was your random thing you wanted?
Okay, so the Giants have been doing this year, and as a fan, like they're winning games, so I really can't like criticize what they're doing because it's working. Like it or not, it's working. But this, I'm gonna let someone play for 2 days and then give them a day off rest, I think is utter bullshit. And baseball isn't the only league that's doing this. Basketball is doing this with their what do they call it? Load management minutes or whatever. Like these guys are paid millions.
They're not allowed to do that anymore, by the way.
Yeah, they're not allowed to do that. Okay, they're hurt. Yeah, like
yeah, I know. Anyway,
but literally, the Giants are sitting people because they've played too many days in a row. Like these guys are paid millions of dollars. Not even the old guys, the younger guys too are getting pulled because there's something analytically that says, oh, they've been on their feet for this amount of time. They need to take a rest. This shit is driving me nuts. Our lineup changes every day because people got to take a day off. Like, you guys are paid tons of money to do one thing, play a sport. Why do you need so much rest? They didn't need it 5 years ago. They didn't need it 10 years ago. I mean, okay, maybe they needed it, but they didn't take it.
Right.
They went out there for the fans so that everyone could watch them, because that's what people want to go pay to see. Now, the Giants, in my opinion, I don't like what the Giants are doing. It's too many moving parts. Literally, we have like 2 separate lineups, and our manager has literally considered or called what he does mid-game as a line change. Like in hockey. Yeah. Like, he changes like that's 6 funny. People at a time because they're shifting. Like, what the fuck is that? I'm sorry. I just like it came up a couple times this week, and this shit is driving me nuts. Like, I understand people need to take days off every once in a while, but we're at the beginning of the season. You're telling me they can't play a month without taking a day off, even though they get technically days off every once in a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah. See, that's interesting because like the Indians don't really do that, but they kind of do, because for the last 5 years, our outfield has been like nothing but platoon players. So like our lineup changes our lineups are different almost every day as well, because like nobody can bat lefty or righty. Like everybody gets swapped out, and I'm like, just let him fucking hit.
So our best hitter is getting platooned because of splits.
Jeez.
What the fuck is that? The guy's hitting 330. Let him play every day.
Well, okay, counter argument, just to play devil's advocate. Maybe he's hitting 330 because
okay, so he hits 295 hit playing every day. I'm still okay with that.
True.
Like,
I agree with you. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
I don't know. It's not like a huge deal. It's just I like getting invested in players on my team.
Yeah.
The Warriors, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. All the moving parts around them, cool, but I at least have players to focus on. The old Giants with Bonds and Kent, and like you had guys that you kept for a little bit that played every single day. Yeah. That you could go out and play, although I never got to see Bonds play live because every time I went to a Giants game was a day off for him, apparently, when I was younger. But
wouldn't have needed those days off if you had a DH over there.
Well, he wouldn't have. He probably would have played those days if they just, rested him every few days like they do now. Maybe that would have been, because back then they would play for like a month or two and then take it like streaks like Cal Ripken Jr.'s streak.
Oh, that's never gonna happen.
Never gonna get touched because of
everybody always says that's the one record that will never be touched ever.
Never.
Because no manager will let their player play every game of the year.
Which, and that to me is ridiculous. If the player is good enough to play, let him fucking play.
See, as an Indians fan in a small market, I 100% agree, because none of these players are staying in the Indians if they're good. They're all going to leave anyway, so run them into the fucking ground. You can out of them, and then when another team pays them $150 million, they're done. They're at the end of the career already.
Yeah.
That's what we did with Corey Kluber.
I don't know.
Corey Kluber left the Indians. He's been terrible.
But yeah, no, that small rant done. It drives me nuts how many times, like, these guys are paid tons of money to do one thing, and that's play this beautiful game that we all love to watch. And you don't get to watch them play. Like, it's hard. You gotta kind of, like, as a true fan that wants to go see certain people, you actually have to look at the schedule, look where they've played, look how much they've played, to decide what games you want to go to so that you can make sure they're going to actually be playing. And that's frustrating.
And that's even more difficult with COVID, because you can't just be like, okay, they didn't play yesterday, so they're definitely going to play today. so I'll buy tickets. And it's like, no, you have to buy tickets like 2 months in advance.
Luckily, the Giants, like, you can buy tickets for games as is. You just have to do it online. You can't do it at like their box office.
Right.
But you do have to have specific things. Like, you have to have a proof of vaccination, or you have to have proof that you have had a negative COVID test in the last 2 days. I think it's like 72 hours. So maybe it's 3 days. Yeah. But that means you have to think weeks ahead, like you're saying, like, okay, I want to go to this game. Like, for me, I'm fortunate enough to work for a school district where I'm already vaccinated. So I have my little card that says I'm good to go. But for the average person that maybe hasn't gotten their vaccination yet, they have to go, okay, I'm going to go to the game on Saturday, which means I have to go to the doctor on like the previous Friday or Monday.
Test results.
To go get the test and have the results back just within the time. Like, it's such a hassle. And the Giants, they expected to have full capacity of what they were able to. It hasn't even been close to that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, a lot of places are not doing like the vaccination card requirement, but yeah, I mean, just that alone is such a hassle. And with how difficult it is to get a vaccination, because like everybody's trying to get one, a lot of people just can't do it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
But anyway, rant over. I think you kind of feel how I like same way I do with it.
I do too, just because like as a fan of baseball, I want to see the best players playing when I watch a game. But yeah, I am also slightly like, I mean, we've kind of talked about it. I am slightly more to the analytical side of things. Not necessarily in this topic, but like in general, just because I do root for a small market team. So like we have to do analytics to have a shot at anything. I mean,
that's fair. That's fair.
So I think just because of that, like I lean more toward analytics. Like when people say something's going to be analytical for a team, it's like, okay, good.
Well, but we'll get into the I want to actually I want to do a full episode on analytics and the impact on the game, because me and you differ in some key areas, but I don't think we agree all that much with analytics, because I like analytics, but yeah. So we'll do that one on another episode. Let's get to the juicy stuff today. The fun stuff, since we're already like 40 minutes in, 50 minutes in.
Okay, so we talked last week very briefly at the end about baseball movies, and we were like, you know what? Let's not get into it. Let's do it as a topic. So that's what we're doing.
Top 10.
We both made our top 10 baseball movie lists, and we're going to talk about them, discuss them. So how do you want to do this? Do you want to go like my number one, your number one, or
we'll start at 10 obviously,
10? Or do you want to go through one list and then the other?
So I want to go one by one, but if it's taking too long to go one by one, then we'll go ahead and maybe switch over and only really focus on maybe our top 5 or top 3.
Okay.
But I do want to try and talk about some of these, because I have a feeling I'm going to have some pretty good ones that you either won't remember or won't have thought of.
Okay, or never seen.
Yeah, or honestly, possibly never seen. A
lot of looking at baseball movie lists, I was like, man, there's a lot of these I've not ever seen before.
Well, to be fair, a lot of my movie choices are they have a lot to do with the era I grew up.
Okay.
So there's not a lot of very modern movies for me, and there's not a lot of like pre-85 movies for me.
Okay.
There's some that I liked in those genres, but they definitely wouldn't have been they didn't make my top 10.
I talked about it once, I think, on here, that like I didn't grow up. My parents are not very sports affiliated people. They don't really care about sports that much. So like growing up, I didn't really watch a lot of sports movies when I was younger. So like there's a few here and there that I watched, but for the most part, I didn't start watching sports movies until like the mid to late 90s, probably late 90s. So like,
oh, go ahead.
A lot of those like 80s movies I've either never seen or don't have any like connection to have like the nostalgia.
Good, then I think even more of our movies are going to be different.
Okay. I mean, I have some, don't get me wrong.
See, so something you might not know about me is I was raised by a single mom.
Okay.
My mom had 3 kids. I had an uncle though, who literally lived every kid's fantasy. He didn't work a stable, like a normal job in his entire life, but he always had enough money to pay all of his bills. It was fucking great. But he basically was kind of like my father figure. I always spent time with him because he wasn't ever like actually working. So when my mom was at work, I would spend time with him. And he literally kept like full size, like this is a mini notebook, but like legit like notebooks of stats, because he did a lot of fantasy. So you could literally ask him any question, and this is not an exaggeration. You can ask him any question about any sport, and he could literally off the top of his head tell you. You could ask him what the running back for whichever team. You could ask him, okay, how many yards did the running backs get in Super Bowl 4? And he could just, boom, off the top of his head tell you this person got this many yards, this person got this many yards. Like he could do that for baseball too. Barry Bonds in 1992, what was his batting average? How many home runs? Like he could just off the top of his head just spout those out to you. Right. So whereas like my direct like mom and my grandma who kind of raised me, they weren't into sports. I spent a lot of time with him, very into sports. Yeah. So I saw a lot of classic movies. So mine skew more towards the 80s, 90s movies. Okay.
Yeah, I have probably a good chunk of mine were in the 90s. There's a couple 80s. There's a few 80s and stuff that I saw later that I really liked, but
all right.
All right, so let's just get into it.
Let's get into it. What's your number 10?
All right, number 10. This one is 100% because of the nostalgia, because the movie is probably not really that great. Angels in the Outfield.
Okay. You're gonna laugh, but okay. I loved that movie. Okay. Did you know the one in the 90s was actually a remake of one in the 70s? I think it was the 70s. Yeah.
No, I had no idea. But yeah, just a fun kids movie. Like, really got me like into sports.
51 actually was the original.
Really old. Okay. But yeah, again, if you went back and watched it now, probably not a very good movie, honestly.
No, that movie is fantastic. I could literally watch that movie every single day.
Okay. I haven't watched it in probably 15 years, but it was probably one of the first 2 or 3 baseball movies I ever watched. So.
Oh, really? Interesting. I
love that nostalgia.
I loved Angels in the Outfield. Angels in the Outfield is on my list. It is not my number 10, but it is on my list.
All right, let's get your number 10 then.
My number 10 is a movie called The Babe.
Okay, that sounds really familiar.
Okay, so it was a 1992 movie about, obviously, The Babe. It starred John Goodman.
Okay.
If you haven't seen it, go watch it, dude. It is amazing. It is great. One of my favorite movies. Obviously, it made my top 10. But it's one that I was almost 100% sure you didn't have on your list.
Okay, definitely not on my list. I'm pretty sure I have seen this once.
I loved it.
Familiar.
I love that movie. And I love John
Goodman.
Or John Goodman, my bad.
John Goodman's awesome.
Yeah. It's one of my favorites. And by the way, I didn't pick my top 10 movies based on like quality of movie. I picked it based on just sheer what I would watch over whatever. You know what I mean? Mine
kind of go hand in hand with that, because like I am kind of nerdy when it comes to movies. So like the quality of the movie does matter to me for
I'm with you on that. I've taken like video classes where I've gone and like watched old classic movies. I very much appreciate good cinematography, but when I think baseball and I think of like baseball movies, I picked the movies that to me like if I was going to go watch a baseball movie, these are the movies that I would watch. Whether they're good, bad, or indifferent, because they're not necessarily all, like, I don't think any of the movies I have are like terrible movies as far as quality goes, but I didn't factor in quality. I put movies like, if I was going to watch this over that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I get that.
Babe is my number 10, and anybody who hasn't seen it, anybody who likes John Goodman, go check it out. It's freaking awesome. I would have said that about Angels in the Outfield, but literally I think everybody at this point has seen Angels in the Outfield.
Yeah, that was well,
that was a huge movie.
Somebody who's watching is younger, because I feel like that came out like what, 95-ish?
Angels in the Outfield, hold on. I literally pulled all my movies up on IMDb so that I had everything for them. 1994 was Angels in the Outfield.
Okay. So yeah.
The Babe was 1992.
If you were born in late 90s, early 2000s, if we have any younger people, then maybe not. Okay, so number 9, I have Bad News Bears, the original, of course.
Like the 70s original?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, okay. Ooh. Way better than the new one.
Really? So I'm not a huge fan of Bad News Bears, to be completely honest.
It's definitely at the bottom of my list here. Like, I honestly probably should have put it at 10 because Angels in the Outfield is better, but
I would agree with that.
I didn't really. My 6 through 10 were add-ons, and I think I ranked them right, but now I'm like, well, okay, I probably should have switched those.
To be clear, my 6 through 10 could be literally interchanged with a dozen other movies, and I probably wouldn't be mad at it.
Yeah. I mean, if I really looked through a lot of lists, I could probably come up with another few.
I wiki.
Like honorable mentions.
Yeah, I wiki. I have a couple honorable mentions at the end if we don't mention them that I'll get to. But I wikied every baseball movie ever made just to make sure that I had my list like on point and I didn't accidentally forget one.
Oh, there was a no-hitter possibility.
Oh, by who?
J.A. Happ from the Twins.
No shit.
Took the Pirates on a no-hitter into late in the 8th inning. There was 2 outs in the 8th inning when someone got a hit.
Oh, bummer. Okay, quick, since we just went on that tangent real quick. A's did win. That's 12 straight.
Okay. Little breaking news for you on the Bases and Brews podcast.
Okay.
Right, your number 9.
My number 9 is a movie that I guarantee you'll remember when I talk about it, but you won't remember it when I say the title. It's called Summer Catch.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, Summer Catch came out in 2001. This is one of my semi-modern movies. I mean, fuck, it's hard to think this was 20 fucking years ago. But it starred, Freddie Prinze Jr., Jessica Biel, Matthew Lillard, who is honestly one of my favorite actors, I think, all time. If you don't know who that is, Google Matthew Lillard and you'll understand exactly who he is instantly.
Okay.
But Summer Catch was a movie about the Cape Cod League.
Okay.
And it was about these guys that were playing in basically minor league ball. It's a movie I've seen a bajillion times. There was something about this movie that I love this fucking movie. I could watch this movie over and over again and not get bored of it.
It was Jessica Biel, wasn't it?
Jessica Biel was the main character.
That's why you wanted to watch it over and over.
I'm not saying she's the reason. Hey, dude, Freddie Prinze Jr. is one good-looking man.
I mean, fair. You're not wrong.
But yes, it definitely didn't hurt that Jessica Biel was the lead female actress in that.
I've definitely never seen that movie.
Oh my God, go watch it. I think you would love it, to be honest. I legitimately think you would love it.
After we finish, put your list into the Google Doc and I'll put mine up there.
Okay, yeah. I didn't want to put it in before we got on here because I didn't.
Same. All right. Number 8 is a movie that I have actually only seen like twice, but it's one of the top rated baseball movies out there. And it's really good. I just haven't watched it a lot. And that is an older movie again, but Bull Durham.
Ooh, okay.
Okay.
Bull Durham's on my list. In a very different spot, but it's on my list.
Again, I haven't seen it a lot. And I do tend to lean toward more modern movies when I choose to watch a movie. Like,
that's
more
fair.
modern movies are my like go-to, so that's why it's a little lower. But yeah, Kevin Costner, who apparently just loves baseball.
So
'cause
Kevin
that's all he does.
Costner was the fucking man in the 90s for baseball movies.
Yeah.
He was. I think I have 4 Kevin Costner movies on my list. Not even bullshitting.
I have 2, but yeah, I think I know which other. Well, I know of at least a third one.
Okay, so one I have on my list is totally cliche. We'll get to it, but it.
Yeah. All right, but yeah, just a good, solid movie, 80s movie.
Yep.
Just, it's a good one. Definitely go watch that one if you haven't.
Came out in '88, the year I was born.
Me too.
Uh-huh.
Wait, am I older than you then?
Well, I was born in February.
Wait, so was I.
Oh no, we've had This is funny. I feel like we literally have this conversation every 4 or 5 months. I think you are older than me by like a week or 2.
No, you're older than me by a week or 2.
That's not possible. I was literally born on the 28th on leap year at 11 something at night. I was almost born on leap day.
Like exactly 24 hours ahead of you. Yeah. That. I knew you were born in February. Okay, anyway. Great. All right, so yeah, what's your number 8?
So my number 8 is actually Angels in the Outfield. I watched that movie so much when I was younger. I had it on VHS. Yes, I'm old enough to have a lot of videos on VHS. I watched that movie until it literally broke. I watched it at one point. I watched it every day. No joke. I love Angels in the Outfield. At one point, I think I could have actually quoted that movie line for line. Like, that's how much I had watched it. So when you put it at 10, I was glad that I had put it on my list too, because it is, I think, an influential movie for people our age, because it came out early 90s when we were young, and it was a big movie.
And it wasn't like it was a kids movie, but not like a really little kids movie.
So it was
an animated.
It was a younger kids movie, but if you were an adult, it definitely had its things in there.
Yes. But yeah, okay. Well, we already talked about that, so let's.
So yeah, we don't need to go too far into that. But Angels in the Outfield is my number 8.
Number 7. I'm curious if you'll have this one on your list, actually. All right, so that is A League of Their Own.
Honorable mention. I'm glad you put it on your top 10. I wanted it on my top 10, but the ones I'm about to get to are going to be juicy.
Okay. I saw this when I was probably in high school, maybe early college. I can't remember, but it's the story, for anybody who doesn't know. It's the story of during World War II, all the men went to play baseball. Jesus. When they all went to World War II. And so to continue baseball, they had a bunch of women come and play the games. And it's just the story of that. And it's a super cool story.
It had to hit one of our top 10s. There's no crying in baseball. It's like one of the most quoted movie lines that people don't even realize is a movie line most of the time.
It came out in 92?
Yeah, dude. It's not a new movie.
I could have sworn this came out in early 2000s.
No. A League of Their Own was way old.
Trailers and stuff for it.
No, I watched it when I was real young. I think I was 7 or 8. I mean, I obviously didn't watch it when it came out. I was way too young, but
well, I definitely didn't see it early then, because
that was one of my honorable mentions, because I think that movie. So one thing I liked about that movie is Tom Hanks. I'm pretty sure it was Tom Hanks. That was the main, the head coach for that team. He encapsulates baseball very well, at least older baseball. Just
Tom
in
Hanks is just the fucking man.
Well, yeah, Tom Hanks is literally one of the goats of acting, in my opinion. But, but the way he portrayed that coach It just like it screamed baseball to me when I was younger, even though like I was still learning what baseball really was because I watched it at a young age. I didn't watch it later.
Yeah.
It's 100% agree. I'm glad it made one of our top 10s, but I figured you were going to pick it, so I left it as an honorable mention.
It's a really just well-made, like the movie itself is really good, even if you don't like baseball. Like I feel like it's still just a really good movie.
Production quality and like the way they laid it out is actually very well done.
All right.
So my number 7 is one that I guarantee won't make your top 10, and maybe you remember this, maybe you don't. It's a mid 90s movie. It's called The Fan. It's Wesley Snipes and what's his name? Robert De Niro. So Wesley Snipes is a professional baseball player, obviously, and Robert De Niro is a guy that's down on his luck that gets a little too obsessed. It's not so this is where I differed from, I'm sure you, is I didn't pick movies that were literally just about the game. I picked movies that were based on baseball. Okay. So this is more of like a thriller kind of movie. Not so much focused on the game itself, but centered around baseball. Okay. If that makes sense. Yeah. If you haven't seen it, again, this is another movie I would recommend whenever you got some free time. Check it out. It's a 1996 movie. De Niro plays his ass off. I actually think Wesley Snipes does an incredible job in his role, and Wesley Snipes, in my opinion, is not the greatest actor. I like him, but I like him, but he's not necessarily like he's not on a Tom Hanks level.
No, of course not.
But it's cool. It's an action thriller. I would recommend it. If you haven't checked it out, I would go check it out because it's fucking dope. I think it's dope.
I don't think I've ever seen that one. Okay. Moving on to number 6. This is another huge nostalgia one for me. This might have been... Okay, there's 4 movies on my list that I watched around the same time. I'm not sure which was the first, but this might have been the first. And that is Rookie of the Year.
Oh, so that made another honorable mention for me. I'm so glad I didn't pick that.
It's
so glad.
So good.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
And can throw the ball 100 miles an hour all of a sudden for some reason.
You're like, I just need to get injured so I could throw 100 miles an hour, Ma.
Yeah, it's a really ridiculous movie, but this one's 100% a nostalgia pick for me.
Yeah, that movie is actually like terrible.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Like it would never happen in reality. Like,
but it's just like I said, it may have been the other 3 that are up there for like the first baseball movies I ever saw are all good movies. This one's like, okay, it's not that good of a movie, but this one has that huge nostalgia.
That's fair. I wanted to put that on my list too, but I just didn't make it. But I did have it as an honorable mention on my list.
Understandable. Again, this is another one that if I had really taken the time to manage my 6 through 10 would probably be at 9. But anyway.
That's fair.
My top 5 are set.
So my 6 is one of the most cliche movies in all of baseball history. 100%, I guarantee you, I give you one guess, you guess what it is.
I mean, just because you said that, I'm leaning toward Field of Dreams.
There you go. I couldn't not have it on my top 10, even though to me, I love Field of Dreams. Like, it gives me the feels inside, but I don't really...
Here's the issue with Field of Dreams is that it is the baseball movie.
It's not though.
But in the general consensus, it is the baseball movie that everyone thinks of when you think of baseball movies.
That's fair.
It's everywhere. It gets quoted. You see lines from it, and I think that's why it just kind of gets old and like
Yeah, like I had to have it on my top 10. I hope you don't have it on your top 10, to be honest.
I do.
Yeah, I figured you did. So I have it at 6. Honestly, it could not make my top 10, and I probably wouldn't be mad at it because it's just so cliche.
I'll just spoil it now. That's my number 5. That's my next one.
Yeah. So we'll roll my 6 to your 5. Field of Dreams is great. Like, I'm not saying it's not a fan. Like, it's an exceptionally well done movie. And I think what they did with it, with having the old players, like the ghost players come, like, I think that's a really cool concept. But I just kind of feel like it's so played out.
Yeah. I mean, fair. But at the time, it wasn't.
No, agreed. 100% agreed.
Like, it was the first to do it.
Yeah.
And it's good, but yeah, it can be corny now going back to it.
Yeah. But I love it. It makes my number 6. And you said it made your 5.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Right, so you can just go to your number 5 then.
So my number 5 is number 5 because if I'm just going to randomly just pull up and watch a baseball movie, this is most likely, like, I know it's not my number 1, but this is most likely going to be the movie I watch. And that's Major League. The first one, because the second one was okay. The third one was like, guys, just fucking stop.
The first one. The second one is not good.
The second one's not bad.
It's bad.
It's not, okay, maybe I'm just being not so hard on it. It's not that bad.
It's pretty bad.
but the first Major League,
because Major League's my number 4.
Dude.
So I'm just slightly higher on every movie than you.
Oh, well, that's because I have a very special number 1.
Well, okay. Also, it takes place in Cleveland, so it had to be a little higher on my list than yours.
That's actually, honestly didn't even think about that. But yes, Major League is like, if I'm going to watch just a random baseball movie, that's probably going to be the one I watch.
It's great. The original is great. The second is not very good.
It's not that bad. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying it's not that bad.
You compare it.
The third one was terrible.
No, yeah. Don't watch the third one.
Yeah, don't even bother.
Wipe it from your memory.
But you don't touch Jobu's rum.
It's exactly.
Part of why I grabbed something a little bit nicer to drink tonight.
Yeah. I mean, I literally have a shirt with Jobu on it saying "Don't touch Jobu's rum."
You got it from Baseballism, did you? I've been wanting to buy that shirt.
I think I wore it the one week. Yeah. Yeah. It's great.
I think that's funny. So I guarantee my number 4 is not on your list, period.
Okay.
So you said your number 4 was Major League. I think it's just funny that we're like one off. My number 4 is one of my favorite movies for baseball, and that's For the Love of the Game.
Okay, that was honorable mention for me.
Ooh, see, that's one of my number 4s. But then again, like I said when we started, I leaned more towards the 80s and 90s movies just because that's what I grew up with.
Yeah.
But it chronicles a perfect game basically at the end of a career for someone who's been in it for a while. And
well, then I know what another one of your top 3s is if you had 4 Kevin Costner movies.
What do you think? Wait, what do you think? I'm not going to tell you, but what do you think?
Tell me when you get to the Kevin Costner movie, and then I'll guess it.
Okay. That's fair. Okay. That's fair.
All right. But yeah, it is a really good movie.
For the Love of the Game, I love that movie. I'm kind of a sap in real life, so when you can mix kind of reminiscing about your love life and doing something that has literally only been done a handful of times in history, I'm all in, and I watched that quite a bit when I was younger. So For the Love of the Game is my number 4.
Yeah, it's a solid one.
But now we get down to like the nitty gritty, the top 3.
I honestly think you and me are going to differ quite a bit on this.
So I 100% think we are, but I do think we both have one movie in common that's in our top 3 because I haven't heard it mentioned, and I know damn well you didn't put it as an honorable mention.
I think it's my number 2.
It probably is because it's my number 3. Which is honestly really funny.
So, all right, we'll do my number 3 first, which I don't think you have on your list because we've talked about this. and you're not a big fan of it, I don't think. And that's Moneyball.
So Moneyball was one of my honorable mentions.
It's not big on the baseball side of things, like you said, for some years, but like seeing the front office side of things, and it's just really an interesting movie, in my opinion. Really well made. The acting's great. Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill kill it in that movie.
I think it's one of Jonah Hill's, honestly, best performances of his career.
True. It's also one of the only ones where he's not playing Jonah Hill.
I guess that's fair.
He's like the same character in every movie except this one.
That's kind of accurate, to be honest, but yeah. But
He's really good.
It had an honorable mention for me. So I didn't want to put it on my top 10, not because I don't, like, honestly, of all the movies that I could possibly think of for baseball, if I was going to tell someone to watch a movie about baseball, this would be probably one of my top 3.
Yeah.
It didn't make my top 10 list because me personally, I grew up in San Francisco, like, not too far from San Francisco. Like, I know the story. I think the movie is fantastic. And I think Jonah Hill is literally the best performance in all that movie. People say Brad Pitt did incredible, and I don't disagree, but I think Jonah Hill was literally money in that movie.
I just think, all right, part of it is we just talked about, like, I'm from a small market, so seeing like the ins and outs of the kind of beginning of Moneyball is kind of cool as well, even if it is, dramatized. Obviously it's not exactly what happened, but it's close. And it's, I don't know, I think it's just a good movie to watch.
I don't disagree. I think production wise, especially for a modern viewer, someone who maybe isn't super into baseball, it's really an easy watch. And you get to learn a lot about baseball.
It has one of my favorite moments in any baseball movie.
What's that?
That is the very end of the movie when they're sitting there watching the film. After the season's over, they're watching the film of the really big guy who, like, hits a home run, but he doesn't know it, and he falls around down on second base. And the other team is like waving him home because he's never gone for second before. And, like, he hit the ball out of the park. And then Brad Pitt looks at Jonah Hill and he goes, "How can you not be romantic about baseball?"
So my actual favorite line in that is when they're talking to, oh God, I can't believe I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But the guy that they get to play first base, that was a catcher. Hatterberg, there you go. When they go to his house and they're like, "Look, we want you, but we don't want you to catch. We want you to play first." And he's like, "Well, how hard is it to play?" He's like, "Oh, it's not hard at all." And then the coach is like, "It's incredibly hard." Like, that's my favorite part of that whole movie because it speaks to what small markets do. It's like, we're going to make you play where we need you to play. And if you do what we tell you, you should be successful.
Yeah. There's a lot of good lines in that movie.
Yeah, there is a lot of good one-liners.
But yeah, that's one of my favorite. I usually post that somewhere. Like, how can you not be romantic about baseball? At the beginning of the season somewhere.
I don't disagree with you. That's, I think, one of the top lines. But my personal favorite is when he's like, "No, it's not hard at all," and he's like, "It's incredibly hard."
I love that. But anyway, okay.
My number 3 is the one that I think you have at number 2, which is 42.
No.
Oh, interesting. So 42, and it's my only like really modern movie I have on my list.
So wait, that's the one that you thought we would both have?
I thought we would both for sure have this one. I for sure thought you'd put 42 on your top 10.
Spoilers, you're not wrong. We both have it.
Okay, so it's your number 1 then. But anyway, 42 is it is literally one of the best baseball movies ever made.
Absolutely.
Like, not even, and I don't even think there's any question about it.
I mean, okay, I know it's like, you're not going to say anything bad about him anyway, but like Chadwick Boseman's performance in this movie is one of the best acting performances I've seen ever.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but I definitely would agree it is a cut above the rest.
I will say, okay, so there's people who only know him as Black Panther. And I'm like, if you think he's good in that, go watch this. Because, like, he's great in Black Panther. I love that movie. But this movie is where I saw this before he was announced as Black Panther. And when he was announced as Black Panther, I was like, holy shit, I'm so pumped for this because of 42. But yeah, it's great. I absolutely love this movie.
I do too. It's definitely, there's no way I could keep it off my top 3. But it is my 3rd, and there's a very special reason why I have the movie at number 1 as number 1. But this is I'm
curious if we have another one in common.
We don't. 100% we don't.
Okay, then I can't believe you left off my next one.
I would almost guarantee we don't. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I would almost guarantee you don't have my. Well, one of my next 2 you actually already said. But my number 1, I almost guarantee you don't have on your list.
Okay. Well, all right, yeah. 42 is great. Go watch it.
Yes, go watch 42. Especially with Jackie. Literally, we just talked about Jackie Robinson Day last week.
That was what spurred this, because I said something about 42 being one of my favorite movies ever. And you were like, yeah, we should talk about that. And I was like, yeah.
But yes, go watch 42.
Okay. So my number 2, which if you don't have this, I can't believe you don't have this, is Sandlot.
It's on my honorable mentions. In my opinion, it's a little too cliche for me. I love it. I grew up with it. It's very nostalgic to me, but it's not good at. I like I said, this could have been in one of my 6 through 10s.
It was, I don't know. You say it's cliche, but like it was the first to do it, so it's not cliche. All the ones that came after it.
I mean, I guess technically you're right.
Sandlot's excellent, and I think it still holds up pretty well.
It does.
Like,
it does.
I watched it recently.
I'm not.
What I didn't know is they made like 3 of them, and the rest are terrible.
Yeah, I looked at the list and I was like, I didn't know they made fucking like Sandlot 4. What the fuck is this?
Watch those. They're awful. They don't have any of the original cast. They're just trash movies.
Yeah, no. But the first one, it was one of my honorable mentions, just like Moneyball was. I'm glad I took. So originally I had A League of Their Own, Rookie of the Year, Sandlot, and Moneyball all on my list, and I took them off so that I could make sure that, 1, that we didn't have like exactly the same lists. And 2, because honestly, I love them, but I don't know if I'd put them top 10. It maybe would be like an 11 for me for Sandlot. Like Sandlot would be high on my list, but it's not a top 10 movie for me. I've seen it about 100 times. It just, I don't know.
I don't know. I love it.
I still love it.
Right. Of course. I'm not, just because it's not in your top 10, you're not saying you don't like it. It's just, but yeah, that one holds up. That's another one of the ones. It was Sandlot, Field of Dreams, Rookie of the Year, and Angels in the Outfield were like the first 4 baseball movies I ever saw when I was a kid.
That's fair.
And so all those hold like a special place. But Sandlot was the only one of those that I like watched all the time. Like I watched it at least once a month for like years.
See, that was my Angels in the Outfield, but I don't know if that's just because I had Angels in the Outfield on tape, so I could literally pop it in whenever. I didn't have Field of Dreams on VHS.
Right.
But like I said, it's one of my honorable mentions. I think it's one of the staple baseball movies. I like it. Part of me picked some of the stuff. Like I could get rid of The Babe and put Sandlot at number 10.
Right, yeah, they're all kind of interesting.
And be okay with that and not be necessarily against it.
Yeah.
But I agree with you, Sandlot, killer movie. I'm surprised you had it so high, though, to be honest.
I love it. It's so good.
So my number 2...
Wait, is this your Kevin Costner?
Is, what do you think it is?
The Rookie.
No, Bull Durham.
Oh. Oh, we are. Oh, wait, that was your last Kevin Costner one?
Yeah, that's my last Kevin Costner
we
one.
already talked about that. I thought it was a new one.
No, last one.
Oh.
I told you we had the same one on my list, and you just.
Well, I know. Okay.
Bull Durham, and it's not because necessarily Bull Durham is like the greatest movie of all time, but it's to me one of the most nostalgic because I watched that a bunch as well.
I was actually amazed looking up stuff for this list. How many people that was their number one, and I was like, it's a good movie. I like it a lot, but like I wouldn't put it as number one.
It's not my number one for a very specific reason, but it's definitely, obviously, I consider it like my 1A or 1B or whatever. I love that movie, but I've seen it a ton of times. I love the story for it. It's just so good. It's just so good.
Quick shout out to Cobbs in chat. I totally forgot about that movie. It's actually pretty good.
Which one?
It's called Trouble with the Curve. It's Justin Timberlake and Isla Fisher. No.
Trouble with the Curve. The name sounds familiar. Hold on, let me pull up.
It's Clint Eastwood, Amy Adams, and Justin Timberlake. It's a pretty stacked cast, and it's a really good movie if you haven't seen it. I totally forgot about it, and that definitely would have probably made my top 10 at like 7 or 8.
It was 2012. Oh.
It's a really good movie.
Yes, it would have been in like my 6 through 10. Like I said, my 6 through 10 is pretty interchangeable. This one's a good one, but I don't know if it definitely wouldn't have cracked my top 5. My top 5 are pretty ironclad.
I think it would have been like 7 or 8 for me.
Yeah.
But it's a solid movie about like scouting and stuff, which is cool because there aren't really many movies on that side of things.
The Scout, another fantastic movie that's an honorable mention for me, and I guarantee you don't have it.
I don't think I've even heard of it.
Oh, are you serious?
Maybe I have, but I
go watch The Scout. Like legit.
I'm gonna have to try to find all these on Netflix or Hulu.
Honestly, I don't even know if it is.
Netflix, HBO, Disney, Hulu.
Hold on, where is it? I'm looking on my list so that I can figure out, because it's not a new movie. It's like it's an older movie. It's funny as fuck. It's so good.
Older, I can probably rent it on Amazon for like $1 or so.
Yes, check that out though. I think you would dig that one. It's called The Scout. It was a 1994 movie. It's got oh god, what's his name? God, what's his name? Oh, where is it? It's got Michael Rappaport in it, which is actually kind of funny. I actually didn't know that.
Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, it's got Brendan Fraser.
Is Michael Rappaport the one you were trying to think of?
No, I don't think so. He's not the main guy. I can't remember who the main guy is. Might be
who's the next one on the little cast list. I don't know who that is. Brendan Fraser's right under him.
Albert Brooks, I think, is Mel Brooks' sibling. Mel Brooks did like the Airplane movies and
Mel Brooks is awesome.
Yeah. But yes, if you haven't seen that, go check that out, dude. I think you would get a fucking chuckle out of that one. It's corny as fuck at this point, but it's corny in a good way.
I'll make sure I try to find all these. All right. So my number one was 42. So again, great Jackie Robinson portrayal.
So my number one might not even have hit your radar. It's a movie called Hardball. I know you've heard of it.
Yeah.
It's a Keanu Reeves movie.
Okay.
Where he basically he's put in charge of how do you say it? It's like an inner city baseball team.
Okay.
One of his kids dies while he's coaching. Like, it's a fucking, if you've never seen Hardball, go check out Hardball. I used to be a coach. I don't coach anymore. So it just, like, for me personally, it just hits different.
Okay.
It is my number one movie about baseball, period. Like,
it's a fun fact for that movie.
What's that?
That you did not know. Did you know that Michael B. Jordan was one of the kids in that movie?
I did not know that offhand, but it would not surprise me because it isn't exactly a new movie. It was done in like the 90s.
It was 2001.
Was it 2001? Okay, I thought it was late 90s.
I just looked it up on IMDb, but yeah.
But Hardball, that movie, as a coach myself, just before, like if I had done this list before I was 18, before I started coaching baseball, that probably wouldn't have made my top 10. It probably would have been like what you would say an honorable mention.
Yeah.
But after coaching and knowing like the bond you get with the kids you coach and all that stuff, that movie just hit so different for me that is my personal number one.
Nice. Yeah, I've heard of that. I have not ever seen it. I don't think. If I did, it was like a one-time.
Oh.
I watched it way back when and forgot about it. But
like of all the movies we've talked about, because you've coached baseball, right?
Yeah, I coached like 2 years. I coached like a JV.
So of all the movies we've talked about that you maybe haven't seen, that if I could tell you to watch any one movie and just feel it, it would be that one. Because that movie, it's not like a happy-go-lucky, Field of Dreams, Major League funny type thing. Like it's a very serious movie, and it just hits you, bro. Like it's hard to explain how like the emotions you feel throughout that movie. I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not going to say anything, but like if you're going to look up any of the movies we've talked about tonight, that would be the one I would say go check out, because it 100%, in my opinion, especially as a former coach, it just hits different.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'll have to see if I can find any of these ones that you said that I couldn't find, or that I hadn't seen. I mean,
yeah, like I don't know. There's just something about them. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So that's our top 10s. Maybe I'll post these on Twitter.
You should. I'm literally about to just pop mine
in the Google Doc.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I'll post them after we finish up on Twitter. But yeah, that was fun. That was a good little segment.
Oh, it won't let me just.
Well, you can't just copy paste.
Apparently not.
I wonder why.
Okay. Like it just let me write my name in there. Let me paste. Let me paste. Control C for copy. Oh, let me try this again. Okay, hold on.
With copy and paste would be the thing that would stop it.
The downfall of this is copy paste. There we go. Okay.
There it is.
I got it in there. Yeah, no, I'm glad that our lists actually weren't really that similar at all.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just agreeing. We had a lot of different stuff, and definitely not in the same orders.
Yeah, I mean, we had a couple movies I think that were the same, like Angels in the Outfield 42.
Major League, we had pretty much the same.
But it's nice. I purposefully grabbed movies that were a little more unknown that I really loved.
Yeah, I did not. Most of mine are very well-known movies, but yeah.
Let's just say I've watched a lot of talk radio, and I understand how lists end up.
True. One more little breaking news here. Jacob deGrom struck out 15 batters tonight.
That poor man, he needs to get traded. Did he win at least?
I don't know. Yes, 6-0.
Fucking thank God, that poor guy.
guy's batting.
That poor guy.
First pitcher in history with 15 plus strikeouts and a multi-hit game in the same game.
Give me Jacob deGrom.
3 hits, 15 strikeouts.
It's fucking crazy. So I do have, hold on, let me find them. I do have a couple honorable mentions.
Okay.
That we didn't talk about. Ones that are just more comical, more fun, more lighthearted. Mr. 3000.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever saw that. Mr. 3000 got Bernie Mac. It's fucking funny as hell.
It's a good one.
It's a good one. The Benchwarmers.
I wasn't a big fan of that one, but
Really? I liked it better than Bad News Bears, personally.
I liked it better than the new Bad News Bears.
Okay, fair. I've only watched the old Bad News Bears, I think once or maybe twice. I haven't watched it a lot, so I don't remember a ton about the original.
It's a solid baseball movie. Yeah, the new Bad News Bears is not good.
It's not. Oh yeah, here it is. Trouble with the Curve. How did I not notice that one?
It was on your list.
It was on. It's literally on the list I was using to reference for this. Is it this one? No, it's not this one. Other than that, I think almost
two of us.
Almost all my honorable mentions, besides Mr. 3000 and Trouble with the Curve, were on your list.
Yeah.
So we pretty much hit everything, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. Like looking it up, there's a bunch of like random ass 80s movies that like were focused on like one team. Like there was a few Yankees movies, and like I'm like, I don't give a shit about those.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. I'm trying to make sure that there wasn't anything that I forgot, and I'm like, no, I don't really see anything that I forgot. At least in my opinion, because I'm sure your opinions may vary, but let us know down in the comments if there's something that we didn't mention that you liked. Let us know.
If you're watching on YouTube, or if you're watching on or listening on a podcast that lets people comment, then definitely throw some comments with your top 10 list in there.
We will read and respond to all of them
and throw it up there.
But yeah, no, I would definitely say go watch Hardball and go watch The Fan. I think you would like both of those movies.
Yeah, I'll have to check them out.
I don't think they're very long either, to be completely honest.
Early 90s or 80s movies or whatever. They're probably hour and a half.
Hardball is an hour and 45 minutes, and The Fan is like 2 hours. The Fan's actually a little longer.
That's fine. I don't mind longer movies.
But I think you dig The Fan, and I honestly didn't even no way. Was he a San Francisco? I didn't even realize that.
The Fan?
No. For The Fan, the guy the player that Wesley Snipes plays looks like he might have played for San Francisco.
I thought the picture on IMDb showed.
Yeah.
I thought that's why you liked it.
No, I liked it because it was one of those movies that I saw a bunch of. I think I might have even had it on VHS. I can't remember for sure, but I watched it a ton, and I just loved the dynamic. And I didn't want to pick all movies that were solely focused on the game of baseball. That, like I said, I wanted to kind of mix it up a little bit. But yeah, that was fucking fun. We'll
have to try to come up with some more like lists we can like close off episodes with like this, because that was a lot of fun.
That was a ton of fun. That was a lot. Just going back and like thinking of all the nostalgia that I had experienced watching some of these movies. Like just even seeing the name and going, okay, what movie was this again? Oh, I remember that. Like it just made me feel good inside.
Yeah, I agree. It was a lot of fun.
Summer Catch 2. That's like literally the 3 I want you to watch is Hardball, The Fan, and Summer Catch.
I will try to find them.
I would watch, if you can, I would watch Hardball first because I think it's going to be the best and the most dramatic. So you want to get that one out of the way. Then I would watch Summer Catch. And if you get time, I would check out The Fan. If you don't have time, The Fan's kind of here or there. It's more of a crime kind of movie, but it's just kind of focused around baseball.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to see. That's something we should have added when we were decided to do this, is to look and see if they were like streaming anywhere people could watch, but that would take too long to do on the spot. So.
Well, so I know most of my movies you can't find anywhere. You've got to like actually like
Amazon Prime or something.
Yeah, you actually have to rent them. Like I went. So what my plan was for this last week was literally just to watch baseball movies all week. Like no joke. Like I was like, oh, we're gonna fucking do this. Let's do this. I was gonna go and I was gonna pull up Netflix and Hulu and all this and try and watch as many baseball movies as I could. And then I like typed in baseball and there was like nothing.
I think 42 is on Disney Plus.
I think you're right with that one.
It was on Netflix, and then when Disney Plus started, I think they took it.
But that is literally the most recent movie I've seen, and I was like, I wanted to go back and watch some of these, like the Bull Durhams and the Perfect Game or For the Love of the Game. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. That's from the 80s, and it's not really anywhere that you can access without trying to buy like a license for the movie.
The only other one I'm looking at my list that I would think is somewhere, I'm pretty sure Moneyball is on Netflix.
Oh, Moneyball is 100% on Netflix.
Other than that, I think I'm on the same boat as you. I've
just seen Moneyball so many times that I'm like,
I get you. I own it.
I think I own the special edition of it. It's an A's team. I'm a Bay Area fan. I think I watch that movie like twice a year, to be honest.
Yeah. It's a good one. I watch it pretty often. But yeah.
Alrighty. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think
before we send it out.
If anybody is interested in seeing these lists, I'm gonna go right after we're done here and post them on Twitter. Both of our top 10s. So if you couldn't remember what they were, or if you wanted to like go back and go through them and see if you could find them anywhere, they'll be on our Twitter at Bases Brews.
We'll also post them. We'll also post them in the info down below for anybody who's on YouTube. That way you can just kind of check ours down below.
Yep.
Thanks everyone for watching. If you're watching us live on twitch.tv/Bases and Brews, go check us out on YouTube. We are literally the same name, Bases and Brews, on YouTube. Just search us up. We will be there. If you've missed an episode, we are on episode 7 right now. If you're listening on Spotify, Google Podcast, hopefully Apple Podcast soon. We're waiting for approval, if I'm not mistaken. Or any other podcast services. We're on Anchor and a couple of the other various. Feel free to come watch us live. We do this live every Friday night, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Everyone have a great week, and we will see you all next week for another episode of Bases and Brews.
Later, everyone.